So if you're watching this now, you are either interested in making the Segway clone or you're planning to make the Segway clone. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's involved in this project. Basically, to make the Segway, we're going to start out making this board. We're going to cut it on the bandsaw, possibly put some banding around the edges of it. We're going to drill holes for the screws and bolts that are going to go in on this project. We are going to mount brackets that go underneath here. We're going to mount the motors, put the wheels and the chain on. These are optional. This is an optional chain tensioner that you may choose to put on. And then after that, we're going to put together this PVC piping. We're going to drill holes in the PVC for these switches. There are switches here, here, and here. We're going to mount the batteries here, and then we're going to mount this box that holds the electronics. I have it ready to go, just take a look at it quickly. And then in the box we have our switch, LED. This is the motor controller board. This is an Arduino down here, and this is the accelerometer gyro. We also have access to a USB here for programming, and up here you can't see it from that angle, but there's a charger connector that we would put in as well. So if you're up for it, then let's get started and start out with making our platform. Thanks. All right, to start off with our Segway clone construction, we're going to make the platform. And to do that, we are going to use a table saw. And the table saw is the most dangerous tool that I have in my shop. And you have to be very careful not to put your hands anywhere near the orange section. And I am going to use eye protection. Ear protection is a good idea as well. So let's get started. So we need to cut the platform to be 29 in length by 17¼ inches in width. Convert to metric if you need to. And we're going to start out with the 17¼ inch cut, and I am going to turn on this noisy table saw, and we're going to make this first cut. And the next cut is at 29 inches, and we're not going to show that here, but you get the idea. Thanks. Okay, we've cut our board to size, and now we're going to round over the edges. I guess this step is optional, but it's nicer to have smoother edges on the corners of our board. So I'm just using an old coffee can, and we're going to use this to grab this radius cut here, and we'll just go here. Anything circular like this will work. Okay. And then I have a jigsaw, skill saw. Go here. We're going to keep our line. Okay, and then we'll just use a sanding block. I'm using 100 grit, round it out. And we'll do the other 3 corners, and then we'll put some edge tape on. That's it for that step. Okay, here we're going to put some edge tape on the edge of the board. We've got all our rounded over edges, and this is definitely optional, but I think it looks a little bit cleaner. So we will grab our iron. This is iron on tape. You can buy it at Home Depot. I think it's about $6 a roll or so. And then in the end we can sand it over. So we just kind of put the heat on here. And it will go right around this edge, just like that. All right, so you get the idea. And that's it for that part. We'll keep going around. Okay, we installed the edge tape on our board, and of course the edge tape part is optional. And if you are going to put edge tape on, you may find that there are ridges along the edges, and so we're going to hit it with a power sander. You can use a hand sander. This is some fill in just on some gaps in here. So that's it. And then I also like to ease over these edges a little bit. So we'll just kind of do this in case you bump your leg on this, because you do bump your legs jumping on and off these Segways sometimes. So anyway, that's it. Get the idea. See you in a second. So now we've got our wheel assemblies on the wood block, and the motors are here to show them hooked up with the chains. We tightened on these nuts on the end to get everything rigid, and we are going to mark the holes now in the wood. We're going to drill our holes. So I have a line in here that's spaced out a certain distance from the wood edge here. This is the back edge of the Segway board, and we're going to just draw circles where this is going to go. There's a center line in the middle, so I want the two metal brackets to be equally spaced off this center line, and the distance here is marked in the plans. So I've got the line here, which I can see. You probably can't see it in the video, but I'm holding this tight, making my circles. And same thing in here. Bring this up to the line. They torque off and twist off each other a little bit. So we got to get it to the line. Same thing. Make sure to get this from both sides. Same thing here. Because when you come in at an angle, the lines distort, so definitely try to get it from both sides so you get right to the edge of this. Otherwise your drill will not be centered when you do it. Alternatively, you could take the wheels off. Alright, so that's that. We're going to drill the holes for the bracket first with a 1/4" drill bit, and then later we're going to mount this. After all of this is rigid, we're going to pull tight on the chain and then put these holes in. So just one quick thing, to mark the center of these holes, I like to use a punch so the drill bit doesn't wander where I'm going to drill. So you can just go through, do this by eye. Go all the way through. So to drill our holes, we are going to put some 2x4s under here, not in the area that we're drilling. Balance the board on top, get the drill over some of the holes that we've done. Try to keep the drill straight up and down. We have the punched hole in it, so the drill should go straight through. And that's it. Repeat for all of them. Alright, we're just setting each of these down one at a time. You can hit them with a hammer also. Okay, we have our assembly built up here with the wheel, the chain on it, and these are the two brackets that we've cut and drilled out previously. And so we are about to mount them on top of the screws that we put in before. And so this is going to line up right onto here. It's kind of nicely lined up, and then we're going to just push it right down. Just like that. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to put nuts on. So we're using these, and we've got to put one on each side here, one on each one of these. A couple over here. So there are 8 that go on here at this point. And this is the 8th one. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this. And we're going to put this on edge. Cut. Alright, so now we're going to put these in, so we're going to hold this over here. This is an adjustable wrench, and then come in on the other side with our nut driver, as you can see there. And then just drive this in. There we go. Right there. And sometimes the wood on the top gets pushed in a little bit with the washer, and so we'll do it for the rest of these, get it tightened in. Okay, that's that. Alright, now we're going to mount our motor, which has a bracket attached to it, onto our board. And so to do that, we're going to drill 4 7/32 drill bit holes in here, and then we're going to pass this this bolt through, which is an M6 1.0 by 30 millimeter bolt from Home Depot, and washer goes through it from the bottom straight into this threaded bracket. So the first thing we want to do is line up our chain with the motor and get some decent tension on it, so it's going to be, you know, just moving a tiny bit, kind of like a guitar string or something like that. And we also want to make sure that it's straight this way, you can eyeball it, and then I'm using a ruler here to make sure that it's square both this way and this way. Okay, and it is. And then I'm using a little piece of a 9mm lead so I can get in here. You can use just a pencil, cut off a pencil or something like that, just so I can get a nice hole. Okay, here. I'm going to mark them all. You can use a pencil. The only problem is that you're going to end up not getting this backside too well. And we want to make sure that when we punch this, we get right in the center of this hole. You can also make measurements to do this as well. So after you do mark your hole nicely, make a nice circle in there, we're going to grab our punch again, and we're going to go and punch the hole and drill it with that bit, and then come in from the other side. So that's it for now. Let's do this. So just to double check this, because we do not want to mess up these holes into the bracket, we're going to come in here and we're going to check that these are lined up nicely. And so far so good on these. Check them all. Yep, looks good.
and then this way. You can see it maybe a little bit better like that. So we're hitting the centers of these holes that we marked with our pencil. Okay, so now we can feel pretty comfortable. We can drill these. We're going to drill them nice and straight through from this side. All right, so this is a little bit of a tricky part. We're going to mount the motor here now. We have our screws partially sticking out from the other side. We drilled the holes, did a little sanding on this side, and we carefully put our screws through just so they're sticking out a tiny bit. That allows us to hook this gear onto the chain, line everything right up here, and I'm using a socket driver that I have on this side. This is part of my socket set that fits onto this, and I am just going to tighten each one so they come through. I know this is probably hard to see on the video, but trust me, they did line up and they are coming through, and slowly I am attaching this on. So that's it, and we'll keep doing this, get it all tight. All right, we've got our motor mounted now, and chain, wheel, you can spin it, it spins pretty nicely freely, and we can just hook this up to our battery to test it. This is only 12-volt battery. Eventually this will be driven with 24 volts. Works that way. Flip it the other way, spins the other way, and if I spin it like this and then short it out, I can make it stop. And so what's going on here is this motor is a motor when we hook it to a battery, but the other way it's actually a generator. So you should try this sometime. If we spin it, it spins pretty easily, spin the wheel, but if I hold this together, I've basically taken this generator and I've shorted the output. And now it's very hard to turn, okay, because it was going into a short. And another way to show this generator is if I hook it up to an LED and I spin the wheel. Here, let me hold this in one hand if I can do it. I'll show you. Through the little holes. Oops, here. Alright, check it out. And if I spin it the other way, nothing happens because it's a diode. But so I'm generating electricity. So anyway, just a little science lesson on the side of this. See you later. Okay, now that we have our motors mounted, I want to put together a prototype and demo everything out before I fasten it at the end. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but in any case, we're going to take our extension cord. I use an extension cord. You can use speaker wire, anything you have lying around, old cables from, you know, junked electronics that you have, and basically we just want to make sure that it's reasonably thick. You don't want to be using phone wire for this level. So I'm just using wire cutter to pull this back so I can get my connections, and then I'm going to use a wire stripper. In this case I'm going to go for 14. Strip it off. You're going to have to do this for a bunch of our connections per the wiring diagram. I'll have lengths for all these sections of cables, and we will put this all together. And for some of this, the connections to the batteries, Home Depot sells these. These are the amp female disconnects, so you can use these. We can put one into here like this, right through, and then you can do a crimp on it with a crimping tool. This goes like this into here. Just put it, get the wire all the way in there, and then just pull it, push down on this, nice and snug. You make a good connection. And we're going to do that for the batteries, and that's good and tight in there. Okay? See you in a bit. All right, I want to talk about just soldering the motor wires on here. So we're going to put them on, and we're going to put some heat shrink tubing onto the wires. And I just want to show how we do that. One of the things I like to do is to mark the wires just so I don't screw things up. So on these extension cords and probably some of your wires, they have a ridge side. For me, the ridge side is always going to be negative. And just take a Sharpie. It can't hurt. It's one less thing to screw up, and mark them. Okay, so you just feel for the ridges, and now you know which side's which. And I do it on all of the connections, including the connections to the motor driver board. That's it. Just takes a second. Okay, and so our goal here is to hook one wire, the black wire, up to the black side. And before we do that, we're going to put heat shrink tubing. You can use electrical tape. Again, heat shrink tubing is optional. I bought this, again, at Home Depot. It's a box full of all different kinds of heat shrink tubing. This size happens to fit on. So you just kind of put it on the end in anticipation. Again, electrical tape is fine. This is just less likely to fall off, and it's actually pretty fast to put on. So the idea here is I want to make this a connection that's pretty tight. So I'm going to cross and then twist in tight so that when I solder this connection, it's going to stay flush, and then my heat shrink tubing will slide over this. Okay, and I'm sure you've all soldered before, but the idea is, once again, we want to get our heat into the area and then bring the solder in slowly, and eventually I can just kind of push it into the copper itself like that. Now it's flowing in. So that doesn't take too much. Just let it flow. There we go. And we're going to do the other side, and then we'll do the heat gun. So now we're going to drill the holes for this escutcheon plate that the PVC handlebars are going to mount to. And I marked a center line here, and basically we want to come in about 1/4 inch off the edge. I'm going to drill from the back side. I've boosted this board up on a couple of 2x4s just so I can drill through. And this doesn't have to be super duper accurate, but I'm just kind of trying to mark that center line, line it up with these 2 holes. That's good. And then get our holes marked, pencil. And I'll do one here too. Double up. All right. 2 good holes. Okay, and now for this, for the center here, we're going to use a spade bit, and the idea is just that we can, so we can pass our wires through. So it just kind of needs to be near the center of this hole. And I'm using a 1 1/8 inch spade, but. That is that. So to install the escutcheon plate, I flipped it over. I'm sitting on top of a plastic bucket here, and we're going to put in these types of screws. So this is the 1/4 inch 20 by 1.5 inch with a round head. It's different than the other ones that we have here, which are hexagonal heads. So anyway, I guess this is pretty straightforward. We just kind of put these things in, and then washer on the back side. Got our nut, which has a self-retainer clip on it. I'm using this socket driver. And that's it. Cool. See you in a bit. Alright, now we're going to cut our PVC pipes for our handle assembly, and we need 3 pieces of PVC pipe. This is 1 1/4 inch Schedule 40 PVC from Home Depot, and we need 1 piece that's 31.5 inches and 2 pieces that are 10 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to mark that on here with a Sharpie. This is a 31.5. This doesn't have to be super duper accurate. Just do the best you can. And then I'm going to use this kind of this is a Japanese pull saw. You pull to cut. You can use any kind of a saw. Chop saws go fast. I like to put my finger here to get it started on line. And with this kind of a saw, you actually like push to start it. And it should be reasonably square. That's it. Repeat for the other 2 pieces of 10 1/4 inch. Bye. So let's dry fit our pieces together, make sure that everything goes well. So this is going to go to the bottom, hook to the escutcheon plate. Here's our T, handlebar, and our end caps. So this is how it's going to go. So, and convince yourself that this works well. If you want to pan over here, and this is going to go into here like this. Thread right in. Okay. And we want to get this in here pretty well and tighten the bottom in before we do our gluing assembly, so that we can glue this nice and straight in and make sure that our handlebars are square to the board. And that's it for now. Gluing is next. Alright, we're working on getting the deadman switch in here, so I just started drilling here. This is basically going to go in, we're going to hold it while we're riding. And so I have a 3/8 inch bit. This is just under 1/2 inch wide, so we have to drill here and then widen this hole out. So there we go. I'm going to go backwards a little bit here. There we go. Now I know I've got to widen it. Alright, and so the idea is I put the wire on already. You don't have to do that on your switch, but pull through here, test it, and we're not there yet, so we'll keep filing till it fits. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to put our steering switch in. It's going to be the same technique for the tilt switch, and there are a couple ways to do this. And one way is to use our Dremel to cut this hole, so we kind of hold it. This is a cutting bit, and so if I put that on, make sure it's tightened in, and again, it doesn't have to be very high speed. I hold it on my mark line. A little faster. Alright, well, that's one way. And then the other way is using a drill bit. And basically, this is how many of you will do it. If you don't have a Dremel, you can make a bunch of holes. Okay, and I'll just show this. So you take the drill and kind of move up and down, and it just connects. So you can see I'm cutting a slot, and right over the edge, right, and we'll clean this up in the end with a file, but you get the idea. This is how we do it, and we kind of just move along until we get this piece out. So we'll pause now, finish this up, come back. All right, so we've got our piece cut out, and we use a file to clean it up. Kind of demonstrate. I've got a small file for the ends, just to try to make them right. And if it wasn't right, I was using the Dremel to remove pieces so that the switch would fit. I did remove it, and the switch does fit in. You can push it in flush, and if we need to get it out again, you can still use a screwdriver to kind of pry it out. And it does come out. Squeeze, pull. So we're going to put the tilt one in next, and we're going to wire this thing up. That's it. See you in a minute.
Yeah, we're doing some wiring now, and we have to wire up our switches, and I need some hookup wire. So this is some Cat5 wire that I had around, and I want to pull out these individual strands so I can snake them through the PVC. So this is a trick to get them out. I put one end in my vise, and I'm kind of going along like this, and I'm pulling a little bit here, and then I go back over here, and you'll see I got some motion, and kind of go along, and just slowly pull it out, and little by little we'll get this wire out. Yeah, it comes a little bit at a time. And that's it for now. See you later.
Okay, we pulled the wires out of our Cat5, and we got 4 pairs out of there. There are 8 wires in the Cat5, and we need 8 wires actually. So for 2 of the switches, they have 3 terminals that need to go on them. So we need a bundle of 3 to go to each switch. So what we did was we took one of the pairs of wires, and we actually pulled out one of the wires by using a drill. We put it in the drill and we ran it backwards. And now we're going to take this loose wire and we're going to twist it in with the other wire so we make a nice pair. So here's a trick that we use to do that. And it goes clockwise. It's the way it is now. So clockwise to tighten that wire on, and then we have it here in the vise. And Spencer's going to let it rip. So let it go. Let's see you bundle this up. So we're twisting the wires together, and that's enough. You just need it all together. So we're good. On to the next part. Okay, now we've soldered some of our switches to the wires, and we're getting ready. So we still have to do the dead man switch, and Spencer will help us with that. So he's going to solder that on. So he's heating up the back of the switch, and then he's slowly adding solder. There you go. You can do the other one too. Yep. Very nice. All right. All right. Nicely done. That's it.
All right, so we have our PVC cut. We've got our switches in now, and this is all dry fit together. We haven't glued it yet, but this is how we want it. And I have some little marks there on the other side with a Sharpie just to show the alignment between each part. So now we're ready to glue it up. So I'm going to take this thing out, wires, and so we're going to use this PVC primer, which is a cleaner, and some PVC cement, which is PVC glue. So first thing we do is put the primer on. Just got some of my fingers of the primer. I have my marks here. I don't know if you can see those, how the pieces align. So we'll do this one first. So the idea is we just use this stuff. It's got a little pom-pom in the tip, and try not to put too much of it on because it does make a purple mess. Put a little on the inside here. Okay. You can
use the glue right away. I'm just going to put the glue on the inside. I'm looking for my mark, which I see here and here. And I'm going to just put this together, push it all in. And that's the idea. So repeat that for the other joints, and we'll see you in a second. Okay, we're going to mount the box now onto the edge of the Segway, and to do that, we've got these 4 of these screws that are going into these 4 holes in this case, and I'm just kind of using a punch here to punch in each of the 4 corners, and I've done the other ones already, to mark our holes where they're going to go. And then we're going to drill a little bit. Don't have to go all the way through on this, we're just kind of making a nice channel for the screw to go through. Okay. This one goes here. Clear it. And we'll use this to try to find that hole. There we go, I found that one. And this one. Alright, and I gotta show you this. This is a great tool. This is a little Black & Decker screwdriver, and the way it works is you push this button in the back, and it's got an accelerometer in it, and depending on how you turn it, it screws it in. So if I want to drive in this screw, whoop, that's that one, and I can go through and do all the other ones just the same way. Nice, huh? Wow, this extender might be a little off. I'll just finish it up with this guy. There we go. That's going down. Anyway, I think you get the idea. So, see you in a second. We are going to mount the batteries now onto our Segway, and we have one that's going to be on each side, and this battery is going to go 3/4 inches of it this way and 1 inch in that way. So I just marked 3/4 here, 3/4 here, 1 here. Put the battery on, line it up with our lines, and we're going to just trace the outside of the batteries just so we have some good markings. Okay. And now we want to mark some holes and get them straight across from each other, and this is rather arbitrary. This is going to be where we're going to have the zip tie that's going to hold the batteries on. They're going to go across. So we'll mark one side, and then we'll use a T-square to make it go over. I'm going right in the center over here. Yeah, that's about there. Okay. And I'm going to use this to mark it on both sides so we can make sure that they are nice and perpendicular. So a little line here. Here. And same thing right about here. About there. We're going to drill holes. And this is a pretty big drill bit. And come up, clear a little bit of the waste out, make the drill better. But I don't want to let the drill bit go in too deep because I have a wheel under here, so I'm really trying to be careful not to puncture a hole in the wheel with the drill bit. Could this have been done earlier? Sure, if we were more organized. So, and I'm just going to show that once I get this hole done, we can do the other holes later. This zip tie doesn't fit in because the drill bit is not wide enough. Rather than using a bigger drill bit, I'm going to use my Dremel tool. You can also use a file, and I'm going to put it in here. Just just widening the hole. So these Dremel tools were great, definitely worth getting. And so that widened it so it can come through. And so the idea is we're going to put the battery in place. We're going to have the strap come up through the bottom and pop up, and then go around back down into that hole. By the way, we need one more hole over here in the middle, and that's going to be used for the power wire to drop through. That's the same drill bit size, and that one we don't need the Dremel to widen. So we'll be back in a second and take a look at the holes. Okay, we want to put an LED through the top of the lid to show when we were green for go and red for stop. So we soldered on some wires to the LED, bent it at an angle, put a little heat shrink tube, and then Spencer just drilled this hole here, and we are going to glue this in with a glue gun. So I will hold it. It's our hole. Spencer's going to glue. You can put a bunch in there. Don't be stingy with the glue. All right, I think that's good. Bye. All right, we're going to mount our power charging connector here, and we're going to mount the power switch. So let's do the charging connector first. And I have a 5/8 inch spade bit for the charging connector, and I've made a mark here where it's going to go. Set right on the hole, give it a little push. That one. Now I'm going to change up to a 13/16 inch spade bit. That's going to fit the switch. And I've marked a hole here, centered, somewhat arbitrary where it's going to go. That's that. This right in here. I think I like this direction. There we go. That's that. And then this guy is going to, I think we'll put him in this way. Right through here. There we go. And I have some hardware that will attach it from this side. Cool. Okay, right now we have the board flipped upside down, and we're going to do some of the wiring cleanup on the inside. We're going to start tacking down the wires and making the connections for the power. I have it flipped upside down here on a table with a couple of 2x4s supporting it underneath. And just going to show you, we've got these tacks. These are insulated staples, another Home Depot item, and basically we're just going to go under here and attach the wires. You could also use some kind of a staple gun that's good for wiring as well. Half-inch staple gun, maybe a 1/4 inch would work. And of course, while you're doing this, try not to put staples into the wires, because that could get ugly, but this is the idea. And don't whack it in too hard, just enough so it's not moving around. And that's it. We'll go through and secure some of these wires and catch up with you in a minute. All right, we're ready to wire in the batteries. So let me just show you what's going on here. These two wires going down into the box are from the motors. And this wire comes from one battery. This wire comes from another battery. And these wires are for the charging connector, which you're going to see sit right across the 24 volts. And then this wire here is going to feed 24 volts into the box. And just one note while I'm talking here, this cable over here connects to the battery. I left 8.5 inches on the other side of the board, and I marked it on both sides. You can't really see it here, but there's a little Sharpie mark just to let me know it's 8.5 inches, so it's sticking out the right height. On the other side, I didn't want to put the batteries on yet. They're too heavy. So anyway, I've got a wire nut here connecting the two batteries together. So this would be 24 volts coming out here at this point, and I am going to put these together. So get the all the blacks that are marked, and I do have my Sharpie marks on all the black wires. And you do a twist together on this when you're wiring. And I've got these twist nuts. You could solder these also. I just wanted to be able to take them apart if I need to. So anyway, we put these down, crank it in pretty well, make sure it's pretty good, and we'll do the other side as well. This is the positive. Make sure it's all lined up. Let's put our wire nut on. And for good measure, I will wrap these in duct tape afterward. Keep them dry just in case. I don't intend to ride this thing in the rain at all. It is not waterproof. No part of it is waterproof. If it's drizzling, take it inside. So that's it for now. We're going to tack that down, secure it, and we'll do the electrical tape, and we will buzz everything out to make sure that we don't have any shorts and everything's going where we expect it. That's it. So now we're going to tin up these wires. We're getting ready to put it all together, and at this point I like to strip all the wires kind of short to go into the terminals, twist the copper together, and then a little tinning. Heat the wire up first, as always, and let the solder flow in so it's nice and shiny. And I'm going to tin these things up too, as well, all the little single strand coppers, because I'm going to put these terminals on each one. I don't know if you could see them in the video, but these tiny little things. You don't have to do this. You could just put the wires into the Arduino, but I think this makes a little bit of a better connection, and there will be some vibrations in here, so it's going to end up looking kind of like this. That's it for now. Just a really quick tip here on attaching these little terminals. I used a hemostat to hold it. You can use any kind of, they make third hands and things like that. And I am going to tin this up a little bit here on the edge, just the top of this terminal. I like getting solder on both sides. And then come in close. That's it. Okay, let's secure the batteries on with our zip ties now. So we just pass them through here. Down there. Okay. Pretty good. So these things do a pretty good job, and we can easily take them off if we ever need to. Metal strap, of course, would be better, but hey, this is not a real product that we're going to sell, so just do the best we can with what we can get. Okay. electrical. And then put our battery terminals on. We're good. All right, let's just do a quick check with our meter to make sure that we have the right voltage. The switch is on, and we're just going to check around here. The black should be negative, and this should be positive. And on the meter, I see 25.15 volts, which is correct for two 12-volt batteries. And then I'm going to also plug the connector in here, the power charger in, make sure that that works and nothing explodes. And we're almost ready to put the Arduino board on. Okay, I just want to shoot a short video clip on the electronics, and you can see in here that we had drilled these holes. These are 1/4-inch holes to let the power wires through. The motor wires are here, power in the middle, and then this is the again the motor control board, and right down in here about 2.5 inches over from these holes is another hole that's buried underneath the power control board. It's another 1/4-inch hole to allow the control wires to come up to go to the Arduino. The Arduino is over here, and we have a board on top that allows us to plug in the accelerometer gyro, and a couple of pull-up resistors are here and the hookup wires for that, and that's it. So there are some screws here that are mounting these down. They drill through, and yeah, it all goes together well. So that's it for now. Thanks. Okay, I just want to show a quick setup here. This is a debugging operation. We've got a computer and the serial monitors running with the code. We're showing pulses coming out. Right now it's about 11.3 hertz, so 11 times a second. We're adjusting it, and there are the electronics. So just doing testing up here. You may not have to do this. Okay, I want to talk about the chain tensioner that we just added. And so we found that as we were going outside and we were riding our Segway around, the chain would pop off occasionally as the chain and everything got worn in. So we made a chain tensioner, and to do that we put something like this together, which is a small piece of 1/2-inch PVC and a little block of wood that's 4 inches by 2 inches, and 1 3/8 of an inch in, we drilled a hole that was 13/16 from one side, and 1 1/8 inch in, we drilled a 1/4-inch hole here. And this is an example of how it's mounted. There's some better pictures that we'll have, and I'm going to put this one that I just made onto this side over here. So, and the idea is that right now there's a little bit of slack in the chain. We're just going to touch the chain tensioner on. The chain tensioner can be adjusted over time. So this piece of 1/2-inch PVC fits nice and snugly into here, like that. Got a washer, and a screw. I'm going to push this through, right there. And then on the other side here, we're going to tighten in this nut. Screw right to here. Okay. Thread it on. Put our socket on here. And this is the tough part for somebody who's right-handed. Almost there. I'm still working on the 1 1/2-inch screws here. We boot her off with the 1 1/4s that you guys will get to do this. Alright, that's it. So it's pretty snug. And then we just pull it down onto the chain and make sure that it turns nicely. And it does. So This chain tensioner just gently contacts the chain just to keep it from popping off. That's the whole idea of it. And we're done. That's it.